A black-haired woman lay cradling two bundles in her arms. A man, holding one of the bundles, spoke with a smile. I will name this child Itachi Uchiha. Fugaku Uchiha, the clan head of the Uchiha clan, beamed at his wife. That's a beautiful name, dear, Mikoto replied, her eyes sparkling. What should we name our other child? Fugaku thought for a moment before exclaiming, let's name him Naruto Uchiha. Mikoto smiled wider. It was rare to see Fugaku so joyful. She looked down at her spiky-haired baby. Naruto, you and your brother will do great things. Baby Naruto giggled, sensing his mother's happiness, even if he didn't understand her words. 5-year time skip asterisk. A year before the Ninetales attacked the village hidden in the leaves, the Yondaime Hokage prepared to protect his home. To contain the beast's hatred, he decided to seal half of the Kyuubi's chakra within himself and the other half within his newborn son. The Sandaime Hokage intervened, telling him it was time to pass on his legacy. With a nod, Minato sealed the Yin half of the Ninetales within Hiruzen and the Yang half within Minma. In the present, a black-haired boy with closed eyes focused intently as he held 8 kunai. Itachi watched, a smile on his face. Suddenly, Naruto leaped into the air, throwing 6 kunai at the target. Though 2 missed, he used the remaining 2 to hit the bullseye perfectly. Wow, Naruto, you hit them all this time, Itachi said, grinning. Naruto pouted playfully. Hey, I always hit the target. You distracted me last time. After some light-hearted banter, Naruto called out, Oni-chan, what do you think Kasan is cooking today? With a grunt, Itachi replied, I don't know. Oh man, I'm hungry. Can we cut practice short? Itachi raised an eyebrow. Are you that hungry, Nizan? Yes. We've been practicing for hours, and we start the academy tomorrow. It's not wise to stay out until dark. Plus, I think supper's ready anyway. When they reached home, they greeted their mother. Are you boys ready for the academy tomorrow? She asked. Both boys smiled and nodded. Well, you boys sure are ready, Mikoto said, her heart swelling with pride. The next day at the academy, Naruto found the lessons tedious. Everything they covered, he already knew from reading. Struggling to stay awake, he perked up during taijutsu spars, especially when he got to fight his brother. Naruto, please step forward, their sensei called. Excited, Naruto readied himself as Itachi stepped up, preparing for the match. Begin, their sensei, Daikoku, announced. Naruto dashed toward Itachi, catching him off guard. Itachi blocked the incoming punch, dodged a kick, and engaged in a flurry of strikes. After a few exchanges, Naruto landed a solid knee to Itachi's stomach. But just as he aimed for the finishing blow, Itachi's eyes turned red, and he executed a swift sweep, knocking Naruto out of the arena. Scowling, Naruto recalled his loss to Itachi. I won't let you surpass me, brother. 1 year later asterisk. Naruto and Itachi were the only 2 students waiting for their Jonin sensei, having graduated as the youngest since Kakashi Hitaki at age 6. A man clad in the Uchiha clan's traditional attire approached them. Meet me on the roof. On the roof, Naruto and Itachi sat on the steps, facing their sensei. Let's start with introductions, he said. I'm Shursui Uchiha, and my goal is to make you both strong. Naruto chimed in eagerly. I'm Naruto Uchiha. I like oranges and want to be the first Uchiha Hokage. Believe it. Shursui smiled. That's a great dream, but it'll be tough. Itachi's turn came next. I'm Itachi Uchiha. I haven't really thought about my dream yet. Don't worry. That's why I'm here, Shursui replied. We'll explore your goals together, whether it's medical ninjutsu or joining the police force. You both have a long way to go, and I'll be proud to be your sensei. Naruto tumbled backward, landing hard on his rear as exhaustion washed over him. He had just finished a grueling training session against a formidable opponent, a strikingly beautiful blonde woman with a powerful presence, Tsunade Senju, one of the legendary Sannin. As she approached him, her hands began to move gracefully through a series of hand signs. To Naruto's amazement, her hands glowed a vibrant green, and he felt a wave of relaxation spread through his body. He let out a long sigh, the weight of the day's harsh training finally beginning to lift. It had been a year since Tsunade took him under her wing. With his Jonin sensei away on a mission and Itachi off training with their father, the opportunity to train with such a legendary figure was a privilege Naruto didn't take lightly. Tsunade regarded him with a critical but appreciative eye. You've improved at an impressive rate, she noted, her voice carrying a tone of admiration. Your chakra control is nearly perfect. You've even managed to replicate my chakra-enhanced punches. I must admit, I didn't expect this from you. Naruto felt a swell of pride at her words. Tsunade continued, You've been my student for a year now, and your progress is remarkable. I think it's time for you to learn the 100 healings technique. But understand, this isn't something to take lightly. It took me years to perfect it, decades to master. Learning the basics will be challenging. Intrigued, Naruto leaned forward. The 100 healings technique. He had heard whispers of its power before. His curiosity piqued when he recalled Tsunade's diamond-shaped forehead, a mark of her mastery, as it stored chakra essential for this advanced technique. When do we start training, sensei? He asked, his eagerness palpable. Tsunade smiled at his enthusiasm, a warmth in her eyes that reminded her of her own youth. But by the end of the day, Naruto was left sore and frustrated. Tsunade had explained that manifesting the diamond took 3 years of concentrated chakra storage, a daunting prospect for him. Returning home, he greeted his mother, Mikoto, and his younger brother, Sasuke. The exhaustion weighed on him as he prepared for supper. Sasuke bounded over to him, his eyes alight with excitement. Nisan, can you take me training tomorrow? Naruto chuckled, amusement dancing in his tired eyes. I don't have time, Ototo. I need to rest. Maybe ask Itachi, he's free tomorrow. Sasuke's face fell, disappointment creeping in. But Itachi and I is always busy. You know that. Naruto sighed, knowing Sasuke was right. Itachi had been training diligently, aiming for a spot in ANBU. You're right, Ototo. But I promise, I'll find time to train with you soon, okay? Sasuke's frown quickly turned into a bright smile. Thanks, Nii-chan. The next morning, Naruto jolted awake to the sound of his alarm, 4 a.m. With a resigned sigh, he got up, already knowing that Itachi was likely out training at this early hour. Meanwhile, Tsunade rubbed her temples, fighting off the remnants of a long night spent drinking sake. Memories of Minato and Kushina filled her mind, reminding her of the happiness they found in their son, Minma. Tomorrow would mark Minma's 2nd birthday, and Tsunade felt a pang of nostalgia as she put her necklace away, planning to give it to the little boy as a present. As the day unfolded, Naruto sought out a blacksmith. He needed a weapon beyond kunai, something more suited to his evolving skills. He had heard of a ninja in Konoha named Asuma, who could channel his wind affinity into unique weapons. Inspired, Naruto pondered how he could incorporate his own water affinity into a weapon. After some thought, he sketched a design for a long staff with a hooked end. This is an interesting weapon design, the blacksmith noted, impressed. I don't often get custom requests like this. Naruto beamed. Pulling out chakra metal he had bought from a mine, he then pulled out the money he saved up. After a hefty payment, he left the shop feeling lighter, though his savings had taken a significant hit. Now, he was off to celebrate Minma's birthday, where he imagined the festivities would be grand given Kushina's exuberance. Hours later, Naruto, Itachi, Sasuke, and their parents entered the Namikaze compound. Sasuke quickly joined the other kids, leaving Naruto and Itachi to catch up. It's been a while since I've seen you in casual clothing, Itachi teased. Well, yeah, Naruto replied with a laugh. I've been busy training to become stronger, so I can be Hokage. Itachi chuckled softly. Still chasing that dream, I see. Of course, I want to make it a reality, Naruto insisted. As the party progressed, Naruto and Itachi found themselves less interested in the gathering, focusing instead on their shared experiences. Suddenly, Sasuke called out, jumping onto Itachi's back. How was the party, Sasuke? Itachi asked. Sasuke's face lit up as he shared tales of games and laughter, his joy infectious. Later that evening, as Sasuke's eyes grew heavy, Mikoto smiled at her boys, grateful for their bond. Fugaku, however, remained stoic, unaware of the longing his sons felt for his attention. The next day, Naruto and Itachi received a C-rank mission: eliminate a bandit camp that had been abducting children. They set off, leaping between trees, until their sensei halted them. We're near the camp, he warned. With their Sharingan activated, both brothers focused on the chakra signatures ahead. Naruto's eyes widened. That's Aoi Rokusho. He stole the 2nd Hokage's sword, the Thunder God. He's an A-rank missing ninja. We need to be cautious. Shursui looked at Naruto and Itachi, gauging their expressions as he asked, "Are you both still committed to continuing this mission?" The gravity of their situation hung in the air, the urgency palpable. The brothers exchanged a quick glance, understanding passing silently between them. "Absolutely," Naruto replied firmly, determination lighting up his dark eyes. "We can't just leave those girls there. They deserve our help." Seeing their resolve, Shursui felt a swell of pride. He admired their sense of justice and courage. "I wouldn't stop you from abandoning a mission like this. These girls have been wrongly taken from their families, and they need us now more than ever." Naruto and Itachi listened intently as Shursui laid out their approach. He mapped out the layout of the camp based on what they had observed from the trees. "I'll create a diversion," Shursui suggested. "That will draw the attention of the guards. You two can sneak in and locate the girls." "Got it," Naruto replied, his excitement bubbling just beneath the surface. The thought of rescuing the girls fueled his energy. Itachi, ever the strategist, added, "We should also make sure to secure the area after we free them. We can't let any bandits escape to harm anyone else." As they discussed their plan, Shursui couldn't help but feel a sense of camaraderie growing between them. The mission had shifted from a simple task of elimination to a quest driven by a deep-seated need to protect the innocent. "And then after that I'll handle Aoi," Shursui said decisively. "You two focus on rescuing the captured girls." Naruto and Itachi exchanged glances, both determined. "Okay, sensei," Naruto replied, biting his thumb and performing hand signs. A puff of smoke revealed 3 small slugs. "Katsuya, I need your help," he said. "What do you need?" Katsuya asked. "For communication and healing if things get rough," Naruto explained, sharing his chakra with her. As they split up, Naruto stealthily approached a bandit, swiftly taking him down. However, Aoi's presence loomed large in his mind. Meanwhile, Itachi found the girls, who looked broken and terrified. A wave of anger washed over him at the sight. Suddenly, a bandit burst in, but before he could react, Itachi dispatched him with lethal efficiency. "Hey, what are you doing?" another bandit yelled, rushing in. Itachi moved swiftly, his Sharingan allowing him to anticipate the attack. In an instant, the bandit was left lifeless, a testament to Itachi's skill. Back with Naruto, he engaged Aoi, who taunted him about his abilities. With a flick of his wrist, Aoi unleashed a flurry of Sunban. "Sunban shower," he declared, the needles raining down. Naruto quickly formed a water wall to deflect the projectiles, then followed up with a plan. "Katsuya now," he shouted, directing the slug to unleash a stream of corrosive acid at Aoi. As the acid hit, Aoi staggered back, partially blinded. Seizing the moment, Naruto moved in for the attack, employing a series of feints and strikes, pushing Aoi to his limits. But Aoi was cunning, countering with an electric thrust from his sword. "Your tricks won't work on me," Aoi growled. "Let's see about that," Naruto retorted, channeling his chakra into a fire jutsu. Fire Dragon. A massive flame erupted, clashing with Aoi's water dragon, creating a smoke-filled battlefield. In the chaos, Aoi felt a sharp pain in his neck as Naruto landed the decisive blow. "This is the end for you, Aoi Rokusho." With Aoi defeated, Naruto sealed the stolen sword in a scroll and met back up with Itachi and Shursui, who were also triumphant. The girls were safe, and their mission was a success. Exhausted yet satisfied, Naruto returned to the Leaf Village. He completed the mission report for the Hokage and was rewarded for their efforts. With a tired sigh, he looked forward to a well-deserved rest, the dreams of Hokage still burning brightly in his heart. 3 years later, Naruto scowled as he walked through the village, feeling the weight of the whispers and sidelong glances directed at him. The villagers, once indifferent, now seemed to be filled with suspicion and fear. Rumors swirled that the Nine Tails was being controlled by the Sharingan, a notion that haunted him. He had confided in his father about this disturbing speculation, and to his dismay, his father had confirmed its truth. With the right strength of visual prowess, one could indeed exert control over the beast, just as Madara Uchiha had done in the past. But the thought that anyone possessed such power was both frightening and isolating. Naruto's mind raced as he recalled his sensei's stories about the Mangekyo Sharingan. His sensei had unlocked his at a tender age of 8, an event born from witnessing something profoundly traumatic. The burden that came with such power was immense. The more he contemplated it, the more he understood the deep pain that those who wielded it must carry. This power, while extraordinary, came with a price, one that often left scars on the soul. As he walked, he thought of Itachi, his teammate and friend, who had fully matured his Sharingan alongside him. They were both coming to terms with their own abilities. Both boys carried the weight of expectations and the burdens of his clan. It was a somber reminder that strength often came at a cost. The two of them were scheduled to meet with their sensei, Shursui, who had called them for an important discussion. As they gathered under the shade of an ancient tree, Naruto couldn't help but feel a swell of anticipation mixed with anxiety. Shursui, with his calm demeanor and reassuring presence, looked at them with pride. "In just 3 days, we'll be participating in the Chunin exams," Shursui announced, his voice filled with confidence. Naruto and Itachi exchanged glances, raising their eyebrows in unison. They were a two-man cell, but it wasn't that they couldn't handle the challenges ahead. It was simply the fact that they had always worked as a duo. Naruto hesitated, then spoke up. "Sensei, we're a two-man cell. Technically, we're a team of 2, not 3. Shursui chuckled softly, his eyes sparkling with encouragement. "Don't worry. The Hokage himself has granted us special permission to enter as a duo. This decision isn't just about us. It's about demonstrating to future clients and the villagers that the leaf is anything but weak. This is an opportunity for us to show the strength of teamwork and to defy the misconceptions surrounding our abilities." Naruto's heart raced at the thought of the upcoming exams. The Chunin exams were not just a test of skill. They were a chance to prove themselves and dispel the cloud of doubt hovering over their heads. He could almost hear the whispers echoing in his mind, reminding him that he was a genius and noon, and anything could take that away from him as long as he was with his brother. But this was their chance. Together, Naruto and Itachi could stand strong against any adversary, showing that their bond was unbreakable. As they prepared for the challenges ahead, Naruto felt a renewed sense of determination. With Itachi by his side and Shursui guiding them, they were ready to face whatever trials awaited them in the Chunin exams. It was time to show the village and themselves what they were truly capable of. On a clear afternoon, the sun cast a warm glow over the open field where Itachi and Naruto had chosen to hone their skills. Initially, they had intended to practice taijutsu, focusing on hand-to-hand combat techniques. However, Naruto quickly proposed a shift in their training regimen, suggesting they incorporate weapons practice. He understood that battles could often extend beyond mere physical confrontations, and being proficient with their weapons was essential for their growth as shinobi. Itachi, always perceptive and adaptable, welcomed the idea, recognizing the opportunity to improve his skills with the tanto gifted to him by their sensei, Shursui. As the training commenced, Naruto dashed towards Itachi with astonishing speed, his enthusiasm radiating from every movement. Itachi, caught off guard by Naruto's sudden burst of energy, activated his Sharingan. This legendary eye technique allowed him to track Naruto's rapid movements and anticipate his attacks, turning the spar into a thrilling exchange of skill and strategy. The two met in the center of the field, their weapons clashing with a resounding impact. Naruto, fueled by determination, began to push Itachi back, demonstrating the growth he had achieved through their rigorous training. Itachi, however, was not one to back down easily. He quickly recovered and launched his own counterattack, aiming to catch Naruto off guard. Feinting to the left, Itachi executed a sweep with his tanto, a tactic he hoped would outsmart his younger brother. But Naruto was no novice. He had learned to read his brother's movements as well. Anticipating Itachi's maneuver, he evaded the sweep, sidestepping and positioning himself for a counter. Itachi, relying on the precognitive abilities granted by his Sharingan, leaped above Naruto's anticipated strike, preparing to deliver an overhand blow. The clash of their weapons echoed across the field, each strike illustrating their growth and the unyielding bond they shared. The spar continued, each brother pushing the other to their limits. Yet, fatigue began to set in for Itachi, a reminder that even the most skilled shinobi were not immune to exhaustion. In a moment of oversight, he failed to see the swift kick that Naruto executed, landing squarely in his stomach. The impact sent Itachi sprawling to the ground, a testament to Naruto's relentless spirit and quick reflexes. As Itachi caught his breath, Naruto extended a hand to help him up. Their camaraderie was evident as Naruto flashed a reassuring smile. "It's getting late, isn't it?" he said, glancing towards the horizon where the sun was beginning to dip below the trees. Itachi returned the smile, appreciating the moment of levity amidst their training. "It sure is," he replied, his voice light. "I don't think Kasan would be happy if we were late for supper." This exchange encapsulated the essence of their relationship. Despite the intensity of their training, there was always room for brotherly affection and understanding. As they gathered their gear and began to walk home, the bond forged through their practice was evident. Each session, filled with competition and collaboration, brought them closer together, strengthening their resolve as shinobi and as brothers. In the heart of their training lay not just the pursuit of strength, but also the deepening of their connection, which would serve them well in the challenges that lay ahead. 3 days later, as the sun rose over Kumogakure, its golden rays illuminated the village's stunning landscape, characterized by towering cliffs and rugged mountains. This setting served as the backdrop for the much-anticipated Chunin exams, where aspiring shinobi from various villages gathered to test their skills. Among these hopefuls were Naruto and Itachi, both members of the renowned Uchiha clan, each prepared to prove their worth. Naruto stood out with his long black hair, which fell to his chin, giving him a distinct look amidst the crowd. His attire included a gray, sleeveless shirt with the leaf forehead protector attached to the front, as well as a short-sleeved mesh armor, which he wore a green poncho. He also wore a turquoise sash around his waist, paired with a matching green apron over his pants and a pair of brown boots. Along with it, he would carry a club with uneven-sized hooks, which bared a green flower on the larger end, that offered him a degree of camouflage in the forest setting of the exams. A reddish turquoise sash cinched around his waist, complemented by a light red apron that covered his pants, creating a unique blend of colors. Completing his ensemble were a pair of black ninja sandals, practical for swift movements. In his hand, he wielded a club adorned with uneven hooks, the larger end decorated with a striking red flower, a testament to his individuality and creativity. Itachi, on the other hand, presented a stark contrast. He wore high-collared, long black A&BU pants, exuding an air of professionalism and seriousness. His hair was tied back in a ponytail, emphasizing the sharpness of his features and the intensity in his eyes. Together, Naruto and Itachi embodied a balance of youthful exuberance and seasoned wisdom, each bringing their strengths to the competition. The first stage of the exams commenced with a written test, designed not just to evaluate knowledge of tactics and strategy, but also to assess how well each participant could perform under pressure. The tension was palpable as teams filled the rows, their eyes scanning the questions that challenged their understanding of the shinobi world. For Naruto, this stage was a test of collaboration as much as intellect. He knew that while individual skills mattered, the ability to work together was critical. As the exam proceeded, Naruto glanced over at Itachi, who had already completed his paper. They exchanged a knowing nod, a silent acknowledgement of their shared goal. Both understood that this exam was just one hurdle in a much larger journey. As time wound down, they moved on to the next phase of the competition. The second stage took them into the treacherous forests surrounding Kumogakure, a test of survival that demanded both physical prowess and mental acuity. Each team was tasked with gathering specific items while navigating the challenges presented by the environment and rival teams. The lush greenery masked numerous dangers, from wild animals to competitors eager to sabotage their progress. Utilizing their unique abilities, Naruto and Itachi formed a seamless partnership. Naruto's unyielding spirit propelled them forward, his resilience shining through as he tackled obstacles head-on. Meanwhile, Itachi's strategic mind ensured they avoided unnecessary confrontations, allowing them to focus on their objectives. This challenge was not just about individual strength. It was a testament to their bond as brothers, pushing them to rely on one another amid environmental hazards and competing teams. After what felt like an eternity, they finally reached the summit of a mountain, successfully retrieving the 2 scrolls needed to complete the task. Handing them to the examiners, they were informed to return in 2 days for the final exam, a moment filled with anticipation and excitement. As they regrouped with their sensei, Shursui, to discuss their performance, Naruto's attention was suddenly captured by a striking blonde kunoichi. He recalled her name, Yujito, a fierce competitor from the village hidden in the clouds. Her reputation for strength and determination intrigued him, and he felt an immediate connection. Approaching her, he was met with a scowl. What's with that look? Naruto asked, trying to lighten the mood. You don't have to glare at me. Yujito replied. All you boys think of me as just a pretty face. You don't see me as anything more. Her frustration was evident, reflecting a deeper issue she faced as a kunoichi. Naruto, undeterred, responded, Yeah, you're beautiful, but that doesn't mean I see you as just an object. You're strong, and that's what matters. His sincerity took her by surprise, causing her cheeks to flush as she contemplated his unexpected compliment. In that moment, Naruto's naivete shone through as he scratched his head, realizing he may have misjudged the situation. I'm sorry if I offended you, he exclaimed, his earnestness disarming. Watching from a distance, Itachi and Shursui couldn't help but laugh at Naruto's clumsy yet genuine attempt at connection. The scene highlighted Naruto's charm and ability to see beyond the surface, while also emphasizing the complexities of Yujito's experiences as a kunoichi. In a bustling arena filled with a diverse array of contestants, Naruto Uchiha and Itachi Uchiha stood poised to demonstrate their prowess. Among the competitors were several dark-skinned individuals, each exuding an air of seriousness and determination. Yet, both Naruto and Itachi were confident in their abilities, believing they could outmatch anyone in the arena. The atmosphere was thick with tension as the matches commenced, the crowd eager for the spectacle of skill and strategy. As the first match was announced, Naruto Uchiha versus Darui, the energy shifted. Naruto, with his signature spiky black hair and fierce black eyes, leaped down into the arena, his demeanor a mix of confidence and playfulness. He faced Darui, a tall, muscular man with striking blonde hair and dark skin, whose serious expression suggested he had little patience for games. Darui's presence was imposing, but Naruto couldn't help but feel a sense of amusement. You look like a Nara, Naruto remarked, flashing a grin. Darui's reputation for being contemplative and strategic preceded him, but Naruto was undeterred by the challenge that lay ahead. The instructor called for the match to begin, and the air buzzed with anticipation. As the signal was given, Naruto charged forward, his Sharingan spinning wildly in his eyes. Darui, aware of the danger, lowered his gaze to avoid being caught in a genjutsu. Unfortunately for him, this decision would prove to be a grave miscalculation. With a devastatingly swift motion, Naruto delivered a chakra-enhanced gut punch, sending Darui to his knees, blood spilling from his mouth. Naruto, taking advantage of that, would do a soining roundhouse kick, sending him to the wall with a boom and crater. Come on, hurry up and give up. You're lucky I didn't take your head off with that kick, Naruto taunted, his confidence palpable. Darui, feeling the sting of disrespect, quickly regained his composure. He stood up, wiping blood from his lip and glaring at Naruto. This was not how he intended to be defeated. With determination burning in his eyes, Darui formed hand signs and unleashed his jutsu. Lighting release. Black Panther, he called out, summoning a ferocious panther made of electricity that surged towards Naruto. In response, Naruto raised his hook staff, channeling water chakra through it. As he dragged it back, a water mirror formed, and the two techniques collided, resulting in an explosion of energy. Seizing the moment, Naruto used his shadow clone technique. One of his clones appeared beside him. Naruto and the clown, simultaneously doing hand signs, would shout, Water release, Water Dragon. Wind style, Wind gust. The combination of elements intensified the attack, propelling the water dragon toward Darui at an accelerated speed. Darui cursed under his breath, quickly forming hand signs of his own. Anticipating the incoming assault, he reached the final sign and declared, Water release. Water wall. The wall formed just in time to absorb the impact of the water dragon, but the clash left him visibly shaken. The arena was filled with mist and debris, masking the fighters momentarily. However, in the confusion, Naruto had already repositioned himself, catching Darui off guard yet again. With a jaw-breaking punch, he sent Darui crashing against the arena wall. What's the problem? Can't keep up. Naruto smirked, reveling in his advantage. Realizing he needed to escalate his strategy, Darui drew his sword. Channeling lighting his chakra into his sword, he would then start sewing hand signs and call out, Water release, Water wall. Then Darui would bring his sword forward, thrusting it towards the water wall, calling out, Lighting release, Lightning ball, creating a formidable attack aimed straight at Naruto. As the technique sped toward him, Darui charged, prepared to cut through Naruto's defenses. Yet, just as he believed he had the upper hand, Naruto vanished in a puff of smoke. Darui's eyes widened in shock, only to find himself staring directly into Naruto's Sharingan. With a swift incantation, Naruto cast a Genjutsu, paralyzing Darui in place. "Game over," he declared, holding the blade of his hook staff at Darui's neck. "Examiner, call it. He can't move." The referee hesitated for a moment, the arena silent except for the distant sounds of the crowd. Finally, he called the match in favor of Naruto. The spectators erupted in cheers, some surprised at the swift defeat of Darui, who was known for his formidable abilities. Meanwhile, the Raikage, observing from the sidelines, seethed with anger. Darui had allowed himself to be outmaneuvered by this ignorant brat, as he put it. The implications of such a defeat weighed heavily on his mind. It was a clear message about the unpredictability of the younger generation of shinobi. In the aftermath, as Naruto celebrated his victory, Itachi watched with a knowing smile. He understood the significance of this match not just as a test of strength, but as a lesson in strategy, adaptability, and the ever-evolving nature of ninja combat. This encounter would undoubtedly leave a mark on both competitors, shaping their paths as they continued to grow and face even greater challenges ahead. The clash in the arena was more than just a simple match. It was a testament to the spirit of perseverance, the relentless pursuit of growth, and the understanding that strength comes not just from raw power, but also from wit and ingenuity. As Naruto and Itachi looked toward the next round, both knew this was only the beginning of a much larger journey, one filled with trials, tribulations, and ultimately, triumphs that would define their legacies. The rounds went on like this. The matches weren't really worth talking about since Itachi would obviously advance to the second round. Yujito would advance, Naruto would advance, Samui would advance. In the heart of the village hidden by clouds, a grand arena buzzed with excitement and tension. Today was a day that would go down in history, for two legendary Uchiha brothers would face formidable opponents in intense matches that showcased not only their prowess, but also the intricate relationships and emotions intertwined within the world of shinobi. The air was thick with anticipation, and the stands were filled with villagers, fellow ninjas, and dignitaries from surrounding lands. Young children squealed with excitement, while older spectators exchanged whispers about the potential outcomes of the matches. As the sun blazed overhead, Itachi, Uchiha, and Samui stepped into the arena. The proctor's voice rang out. "Itachi, Uchiha, and Samui, please come down to the arena." A hush fell over the crowd as they observed the two combatants. Itachi's expression remained inscrutable, a mask of calm that betrayed nothing of his intentions. Samui, known for her composed demeanor, watched him intently, searching for any clue that might reveal his strategy. The proctor raised his hand. "Begin." The atmosphere shifted, crackling with the intensity of the impending battle. In an instant, Itachi began performing hand signs, his fingers a blur as he called out, "Fire style, fireball, jutsu." With a powerful exhalation, he unleashed a massive fireball that blazed towards Samui. The flames licked the air as she quickly dodged, narrowly escaping the inferno that singed the ground where she had stood. However, as she looked up, Itachi's Sharingan met her gaze. The hypnotic allure of his eyes momentarily paralyzed her, leaving her vulnerable in a state of fear and confusion. Samui shook off the Genjutsu just in time to see Itachi advancing with fluid grace. Determined not to be outmatched, she focused her chakra and responded with her own jutsu. Lightning release. Lightning beam. A blinding light erupted from her hands, forcing Itachi to close his eyes to shield himself. Seizing the opportunity, Samui dashed forward with blinding speed, aiming to catch him off guard. Itachi, however, was quick to recover. As they engaged in close combat, the two entered a tense taijutsu bout, exchanging blows with remarkable speed and precision. Samui aimed a fierce elbow strike at Itachi, but he adeptly ducked, countering with an uppercut that connected with her chin. Pain surged through her, but she refused to relent. Itachi continued his assault, relentless in his pursuit, delivering a flurry of strikes that tested her limits. The crowd roared with excitement, captivated by the display of skill. Itachi's movements were like a dance, each step calculated, each attack purposeful. Yet, Samui matched him blow for blow, drawing on her training and determination. She felt the pressure mounting, her chakra reserves dwindling, but her resolve only hardened. In a moment of clarity, Samui took a step back, recalibrating her strategy. She knew she needed to outthink Itachi, who was known for his analytical mind and tactical prowess. Summoning her chakra, she channeled it into her next move. With a determined look, Samui executed a series of hand signs, declaring, "Lightning release, lightning bullet." 3 condensed orbs of lightning shot toward Itachi, crackling with energy. Anticipating her move, he dodged effortlessly, but Samui wasn't finished. She had been waiting for this moment. As the battle continued, Samui took advantage of the terrain, using the arena's layout to her benefit. She moved fluidly, using the walls and structures to create openings for her attacks. The crowd watched in awe as she maneuvered gracefully, her movements a blend of power and elegance. "Is that all you've got?" she taunted, a fire igniting in her eyes. Itachi, recognizing her growing confidence, responded with a rare smile, a sign of respect for her skill. "You're stronger than you appear," he acknowledged, his voice calm yet firm. With renewed vigor, Samui pushed forward, drawing on every ounce of her training. She unleashed another barrage of lightning orbs, but Itachi was ready. "Fire release, fire dragon," he countered, summoning a fearsome dragon of flames that surged towards Samui. The 2 jutsu clashed spectacularly, creating a shockwave that rattled the arena. Samui struggled to evade, her heart racing as she felt the heat wash over her. Just when it seemed like she would be overwhelmed, Itachi launched a series of kunai, ensnaring her in a web of strings attached to the weapons. "You missed me," she proclaimed defiantly, attempting to rush him, but the strings pulled her back, restraining her against the wall. Itachi appeared before her, his voice calm and assertive. "Yield." The proctor intervened, declaring the match concluded. Samui, realizing she had been outmaneuvered, nodded in acknowledgement, conceding defeat. The crowd buzzed with anticipation as the next match was announced. Naruto Uchiha versus Yujito. Naruto, brimming with confidence, flashed a smile at his opponent. He leaned in Yujito's face closer, adding with a playful smirk, "How about a deal? If I win, I get to take you out on a date. If you win, I'll teach you a technique I know." Yujito's eyebrows shot up, a flush creeping across her cheeks. Unlike other boys who hesitated, Naruto's boldness caught her off guard. "Deal," she replied, intrigued yet slightly nervous. "Begin," the proctor announced, and Naruto swiftly dispatched a shadow clone to engage Yujito. The crowd erupted into cheers as the 2 combatants prepared for battle. Yujito quickly began forming hand signs, declaring, "Fire release, Phoenix fire." Small fire dragons erupted, spiraling toward Naruto's clone. The clone was quickly dispatched, but as Yujito focused on her attack, she failed to notice the punch aimed for her face. The impact left her gasping for air, her breath knocked out as she crumpled to the ground. Inside her, Matatabi, the 2-tailed beast, panicked. "Kit, come on, you can't lose to him. You need to beat this kid." Matatabi's voice echoed in her mind, a reminder of the power she held within. As she struggled to regain her breath, Yujito felt a surge of power as she drew upon Matatabi's chakra. Enraged and emboldened, she scowled at Naruto, who was already gearing up for his next move. The air around her shimmered as 2 tails emerged, swinging wildly. Naruto, realizing the shift in momentum, retrieved his double-hooked weapon to counter her strikes. The force of her attacks rattled him, nearly overwhelming his defenses. "Whoa, steady there," he exclaimed, trying to evade the ferocity of her claws. In a moment of tactical brilliance, Naruto cast a genjutsu, attempting to paralyze her. However, Matatabi's influence shattered the illusion, freeing Yujito. As she regained her composure, Naruto quickly prepared for his next move. "Wind style, wind dragon," he shouted, sending a swirling vortex toward her. The crowd gasped as the powerful technique surged forward, but Yujito was not one to back down. She quickly countered with a blue fireball, the 2 jutsu clashing in a spectacular explosion that lit up the arena. Both ninjas stood their ground, assessing each other amidst the chaos. Naruto noticed how Yujito's eyes glimmered with determination, and for a moment, he felt a sense of camaraderie. They were both fighters, pushing their limits in pursuit of their dreams. Yet, as the smoke cleared, it was clear that the fight had taken a toll on both. Naruto felt a shift in his energy, realizing that he needed to step up his game. "I can't lose," he declared, charging forward with renewed resolve. With determination in his eyes, Naruto raised his hand, attempting to manipulate the air within Yujito's body. Struggling for breath, she felt the pressure mounting as Naruto prepared to strike. Just as he aimed for a devastating chakra-enhanced punch, she managed to break free, retaliating with a flurry of blue fireballs. As the battlefield grew increasingly chaotic, Naruto felt a surge of desperation. I can't lose. How am I going to become Hokage if I can't even beat her? Anger and resolve coursed through him, igniting a fire in his eyes. He quickly gathered his weapon, creating a fire spear infused with wind chakra. I don't know what to call this, he announced, but I will win. With a fierce battle cry, he charged at Yujito, who was momentarily taken aback by his ferocity. The intensity of the fight peaked as he plunged his spear through her arm, the impact resonating with power. For a moment, everything fell silent, and then darkness enveloped Yujito as she collapsed to the ground. The proctor declared, "Naruto, Uchiha wins." The crowd erupted in cheers as Naruto stood victorious, catching his breath and processing the intensity of the match. The sun began to set over the village hidden in the clouds, casting a warm, golden hue across the arena where the matches had just concluded. The cheers of the crowd faded into the background, replaced by a hushed silence as Naruto Uchiha and Itachi Uchiha stepped away from their respective battles. The atmosphere was electric with energy and emotion, a stark contrast to the calm that surrounded Itachi, who moved with a quiet grace. Naruto, still riding the high of his victory over Yujito, could barely contain his excitement. He rushed through the arena, his footsteps echoing off the walls, his heart racing with adrenaline. The match had been intense, testing every ounce of his skill and determination. He felt an overwhelming sense of pride, not just for winning, but for proving to himself and others that he could rise to the occasion. "Did you see that punch?" he exclaimed, turning to a group of cheering spectators. "I thought I was done for, but I just had to dig deep." His infectious enthusiasm drew laughter and applause, but there was a part of him that knew this was only the beginning. As Naruto looked around, he spotted Itachi leaning against a wall, his expression unreadable as always. The elder Uchiha had just finished his match with Samui, a battle that had displayed the depths of his tactical brilliance and combat prowess. Naruto felt a wave of admiration wash over him. Itachi had always been a figure of inspiration, embodying the ideals of strength and resilience. Itachi watched the aftermath of the matches with a mixture of pride and concern. The energy of the crowd, the fervor of the young shinobi, this was what he fought to protect. But beneath the surface, Itachi felt the weight of his decisions pressing down on him. His match with Samui had been challenging, forcing him to push his limits, but he had also felt a pang of sadness for the young kunoichi. She had fought valiantly, but ultimately succumbed to his genjutsu. He reflected on the nature of their battles. Itachi had long understood that power was not just about winning, but also about the choices one made and the impact those choices had on others. In that sense, every fight was a lesson about strength, humility, and the sacrifices that often accompanied the life of a shinobi. As Naruto bounded over to him, a whirlwind of energy and enthusiasm, Itachi felt a sense of warmth at the sight of his younger brother. "Hey, Itachi, did you see how I took down Yujito?" Naruto beamed, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "I thought I was done for a second there." Itachi allowed himself a small smile, appreciating Naruto's exuberance. "You performed admirably, Naruto. Your determination and skill were impressive," he replied, his tone steady and calm. He admired Naruto's unwavering spirit, which contrasted sharply with his own more reserved nature. Naruto's eyes widened at the praise. "Thanks, Itachi. That means a lot coming from you. But you know, it's not just about winning. I want to be someone people can look up to, like you." Itachi felt a wave of emotion at Naruto's words. His younger brother's desire to protect and inspire others mirrored the very ideals Itachi had once fought for. "You already are," he said, his voice low but firm. "Your determination inspires others, just as your spirit shines brightly in the darkness." Naruto looked thoughtful for a moment, his expression shifting as he contemplated Itachi's words. "I want to become Hokage, you know, to make everyone proud. I've seen what it means to fight for your dreams, and I want to do the same." Itachi nodded, understanding the weight of Naruto's ambition. "The path to becoming Hokage is not easy, Naruto. It will require sacrifice, resilience, and a willingness to learn from your failures. But if anyone can achieve it, it's you. Naruto's grin widened, filled with unshakable confidence. Yeah, I won't give up. I'll keep pushing myself until I'm the best. As they stood together in the fading light, Itachi gazed at the horizon, contemplating the future that lay ahead. He thought about the responsibilities that came with their heritage, the burdens they bore as Uchiha. Remember, Naruto, he said, turning back to his brother. The legacy we carry is one of strength, but it is also one of understanding. Always strive to understand those around you. Naruto nodded, the weight of Itachi's words settling in. I will, Itachi. I promise. With a light chuckle, Itachi added, and don't forget to have fun along the way. Balance is essential. Naruto's laughter echoed through the arena, a sound that brought a smile to Itachi's face. Yeah, I'll make sure to enjoy the journey, too. Maybe we can train together more often. I want to learn from the best. The bond between the two brothers grew stronger in that moment, forged through shared experiences and aspirations. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a brilliant array of colors across the sky, Itachi felt a sense of hope. The next generation, led by Naruto, had the potential to create a brighter future, a future free from the shadows that had long haunted their clan. As the evening set in, the villagers began to disperse, but the arena remained alive with excitement. Naruto and Itachi made their way back, joined by their friends and fellow ninjas who were eager to celebrate the matches. Laughter and camaraderie filled the air, creating a sense of unity that transcended the competition. In the warmth of the gathering, Naruto recounted the highlights of his match, animatedly imitating his moves and the intensity of his fight against Ujito. Itachi listened, allowing himself to indulge in the joy of the moment, a stark contrast to the weight of his responsibilities. As the celebration continued, Naruto turned to Itachi. You know, one day, I'll be the strongest Hokage ever, and you'll be right there beside me. Itachi looked at his brother, a deep sense of pride swelling within him. You will, Naruto. Just remember that strength is not only in power, but also in the bonds we create with others. Cherish those connections, for they will guide you in times of darkness. Naruto nodded earnestly, the conviction in his eyes unwavering. I will, Itachi. I'll protect everyone, just like you protect me. In that moment, as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, the two brothers stood united, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They were more than just Uchiha. They were brothers, warriors, and protectors of their village, each striving for a future filled with hope, understanding, and love. As the night deepened, they knew that their journey was far from over. The trials they would face in the days to come would test their resolve, but together, they would navigate the challenges, drawing strength from their bond as brothers and the love for their village. In the heart of the village hidden in the leaves, amidst the cheers and laughter, a new chapter began, one filled with promise and the potential to change the world. 1 week later, as Naruto lay on his bed later that night, a smile crept across his face, illuminating the room with warmth. The day had been filled with excitement, but one moment stood out vividly in his mind, his date with Ujito. He closed his eyes, allowing himself to drift back to that evening. Flashback. It had been a clear night in the village hidden in the clouds, the stars twinkling like diamonds scattered across a velvet sky. Naruto had suggested they meet at a sushi restaurant Ujito liked that served ramen, a place he often frequented and cherished. He knew the ambience would be casual and relaxed, perfect for getting to know Ujito better. As he approached the shop, he spotted her waiting at a table outside, a gentle breeze tugging at her hair. She looked stunning, her blue eyes sparkling with curiosity. Dressed in her usual ninja attire, there was an air of confidence about her that made Naruto's heart race. Hey, Ujito, he called, waving enthusiastically as he approached. She looked up and smiled, a blush creeping onto her cheeks. Hi, Naruto. Thanks for inviting me. They settled into their seats, and Naruto immediately ordered his favorite ramen, eager to share this culinary delight with her. As they waited, they chatted about their lives. Ujito spoke of her experiences as a Jinchuriki and the challenges she faced. Her openness surprised Naruto, who admired her strength. I always felt like I had to prove myself, she said, her voice steady yet tinged with vulnerability. It's not easy carrying the burden of a tailed beast. Naruto leaned in, genuinely interested. I get that. I've faced my share of struggles too. But you're strong, Yujito. You've overcome so much. You should be proud of that. Her smile widened, and Naruto felt a sense of connection grow between them. They shared stories, laughed at silly memories, and exchanged dreams for the future. Naruto spoke of his ambition to become Hokage, his eyes shining with determination, while Yujito shared her hopes of creating a peaceful world, free from the stigma surrounding Jinchuriki. When their meals arrived, the two dove in eagerly. Naruto slurped his noodles with his usual gusto, while Yujito tried to contain her laughter at his antics. You really love ramen, huh? She teased, her smile infectious. It's the best. You have to try it the way I do, he exclaimed, demonstrating his technique of slurping with flair. Yujito took a cautious bite and smiled. Okay, I'll admit, it's pretty good. As they ate, Naruto couldn't help but steal glances at her. He admired the way she focused on her meal, how her laughter filled the air. For a moment, the weight of the world seemed to lift, leaving only the two of them in their own little bubble. After finishing their meal, they decided to take a stroll through the village. The streets were lit with lanterns, casting a soft glow that enhanced the evening's charm. As they walked side by side, Naruto felt a warmth spreading through him, a feeling he hadn't experienced before. Thanks for tonight, Naruto, Yujito said, her voice soft as they passed by a park. I really enjoyed it. Me too. I mean, it was awesome, he replied, a little too enthusiastically. We should do this more often. As they walked, Naruto found himself wanting to know more about her. So, what's your favorite thing to do when you're not training? Yujito thought for a moment, her expression thoughtful. I like to train, but I also enjoy just sitting under the stars and relaxing. It helps me clear my mind. Naruto nodded, his gaze shifting to the sky. I get that. Sometimes I go to the top of Hokage Mountain just to look out at the village. It makes me feel connected, you know? Yeah, she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. It's nice to feel connected to something bigger. As they continued to walk, Naruto felt a surge of courage. He stopped under a tree, the moonlight filtering through the leaves, casting a gentle glow around them. Yujito, he hesitated, unsure of how to express what he felt. Before he could finish, she looked up at him, her eyes searching his. What is it, Naruto? I really enjoy spending time with you. I think you're amazing, he blurted out, his cheeks flushing. Yujito's expression softened, and for a moment, they stood there in silence, the air thick with unspoken words. Then, she smiled, her cheeks tinged pink. I think you're pretty amazing too, Naruto. That simple exchange filled Naruto with a warmth he couldn't explain. It was a moment of genuine connection, one that would stay with him long after the date had ended. Flashback end. As Naruto's flashback faded, he opened his eyes, still smiling at the memory. The date had been a turning point, a moment that had deepened his admiration for Yujito and sparked something more profound within him. He lay back on his bed, staring at the ceiling, thoughts racing. There was something about her spirit that resonated with him, a shared desire to protect and understand. He felt grateful for the chance to connect with her, and the promise of future adventures filled him with excitement. Naruto closed his eyes once more, a content smile on his face. I can't wait to see her again, he murmured to himself, already planning their next outing in his mind. The future was bright, and he was ready to face it, one date at a time. 3 months later. #Shadows of Legacy, a training session. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the training grounds of the Hidden Leaf Village. The air was thick with tension as Naruto and Itachi Uchiha prepared for an intense training session. Their younger brother, Sasuke, lingered at the edge of the clearing, a mixture of admiration and jealousy swirling within him. The training ground was a stark contrast to the village's vibrant life. Broken trees and scars on the earth testified to past battles, each telling a story of struggle and resilience. The wind rustled through the leaves, whispering secrets that only the Uchiha clan could understand. Sasuke watched, arms crossed, his dark eyes narrowed as he observed the two older brothers. Itachi, calm and collected, stood with a practiced ease, embodying the ideals of discipline and focus. His Sharingan glowed faintly, a reminder of the power and responsibility he carried. In contrast, Naruto, his Sharingan spinning wildly bursting with energy, radiated an infectious enthusiasm. The two were polar opposites, yet both possessed an unyielding determination that bound them as brothers. As the session commenced, Itachi began with a series of intricate hand signs, his movements precise and deliberate. Fire style, fireball jutsu, he called, unleashing a massive ball of flame that illuminated the dusk. The fire crackled and roared, a fierce reminder of the Uchiha's prowess. Naruto, ever eager to prove himself, immediately countered. Shadow clone jutsu, he shouted, creating two clones of himself that surged forward, forming a chaotic wave of energy. One clone dove into the fray, attempting to dodge and weave around the flames. But Itachi remained unfazed, his Sharingan effortlessly tracking each movement. Focus, Naruto, Itachi advised, his voice steady. Your clones are merely distractions without a clear strategy. Naruto grinned, undeterred. I don't need a plan. I just need to be faster. He surged forward, attempting to close the distance, but Itachi's flames began to dance around him, forcing him to evade and adapt. Sasuke watched, feeling a mix of frustration and admiration. Despite his admiration for Itachi's and Naruto's skill, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was always one step behind. The darkness that lingered in Sasuke's heart began to surface, a gnawing envy that twisted his perception of the bond between his brothers. Why do you always have to show off? Sasuke muttered under his breath, feeling the sting of inadequacy. In his mind, he replayed moments when he fell short, when his training felt futile compared to the effortless strength of Itachi and the relentless spirit of Naruto. As Naruto began to fight back at Itachi, pushing him back with a relentless onslaught, Sasuke's frustration grew. I can't just sit here and watch, he thought, clenching his fists. But deep down, he felt a sense of dread. The legacy of the Uchiha clan loomed over him like a specter. The weight of expectations bore down on him, each breath reminding him of the tragic history that had shaped their family. The more he trained, the more he felt the darkness creeping into his heart, whispering doubts and fears. After a grueling exchange, Itachi fell back, remaining calm as his brother Naruto ran to help him up. Naruto and Itachi speaking and talking about ways how they can improve. Sasuke's heart sank further at the match. The desire to protect was noble, but for Sasuke, it felt like a burden. He felt overshadowed by the two, trapped in their light while darkness swirled around him. What do they know about training endlessly? They were both prodigies, each have graduated early. They didn't know what it was like training in an endless cycle. They were just talented. He thought bitterly, memories of loss clawing at his mind. Itachi noticed Sasuke's brooding figure, a shadow against the vibrant landscape. Sasuke, he called, his tone a mix of concern and invitation. You're welcome to join us. We could use your skills. But Sasuke hesitated. I don't need your help, he retorted, the words escaping before he could think. The bitterness in his voice was palpable. I can handle this on my own. Naruto, ever the optimist, jumped at the chance to include Sasuke. Come on, Sasuke. We're brothers. We can train together and become stronger. But Itachi remained quiet, observing the tension between them. He understood Sasuke's struggles better than anyone. The weight pressure of being the clan head child led to be held high expectations heavily on the young Uchiha's shoulders. Stop pretending you're stronger than you are. Sasuke snapped, frustration boiling over. You don't know what it's like to fight for everything. You both make it look so easy. Naruto frowned, hurt flashing across his face. I'm trying my best, Sasuke. We're all fighting our own battles. Just because it's different doesn't mean it's any less important. Itachi stepped in, his voice steady. Sasuke, we each carry our burdens. You are not alone in your struggles, but pushing others away will not make you stronger. Sasuke felt a surge of anger. What do you know about me? You've always been the twin broth heir prodigies, the one everyone admires. You don't understand the pain I carry. The words hung heavy in the air, echoing the very fears Sasuke had buried deep within. Itachi's calm demeanor remained unbroken, but a flicker of sorrow crossed his features. I do understand, Sasuke. We've walked a path shadowed by the expectations of our clan, the burdens of our legacy. It can be isolating. Naruto, sensing the depth of the moment, spoke softly. You're not alone, Sasuke. We're here for you. You don't have to fight in the dark. But Sasuke's heart ached with a pain that felt insurmountable. You both don't understand, he shouted, the vulnerability of his words laced with anger. You've never lost everything. You don't know what it's like to feel this empty inside. Itachi took a step forward, his eyes reflecting a profound understanding. Pain can drive you, Sasuke. It can forge you into something stronger, but you must choose how to wield it. Don't let it consume you. The weight of those words resonated with Sasuke, but instead of finding solace, they ignited a fire of rebellion within him. You think I can just move on? You think I can just let it go? His voice trembled with rage and hurt. You don't know what it's like to have everything taken from you. In that moment, darkness enveloped him, and the curse of the Uchiha legacy manifested in a flash of anger. He felt a surge of power as he activated his Sharingan, the crimson hue contrasting sharply against the dusk. Stop, Itachi commanded, but Sasuke's fury had already taken hold. I won't be in your shadows any longer, he yelled, charging at Naruto with blinding speed, his attack fueled by frustration and desperation. Naruto backflipped into the air, soaring until he hit the floor, so he could have time to react as Sasuke unleashed a torrent of jutsu, the air crackling with energy. Sasuke, wait, he shouted, trying to evade the onslaught. But Sasuke's emotions fueled his power, and he found himself caught in a whirlwind of rage and pain. The ground shook beneath them as the brothers clashed, each strike echoing the tumult within Sasuke's heart. Itachi moved to intervene, but Naruto shouted, "Let me handle this. I can reach him." With determination burning in his eyes, Naruto faced his brother, a blend of empathy and resolve guiding his actions. Sasuke, I know you're hurting, but this isn't the way. We're brothers. We can fight this together. As the two brothers clashed, the dark energy surrounding Sasuke began to morph. He felt the weight of his loss, but beneath that weight was a flicker of hope, a chance to reconcile with his pain, not let it control him. In that chaotic moment, Naruto's words pierced through the haze of anger. Sasuke hesitated, his breath ragged. The memory of their childhood, the bond they shared, surged forward. Brothers, he thought, the word resonating in his mind. Suddenly, the fury began to ebb. He could feel the darkness trying to pull him under. But there, in the midst of chaos, was a chance for redemption. I don't want to be this way, Sasuke admitted, his voice breaking. Seeing the change, Naruto lowered his guard, his expression softening. Then let's find a way to move forward. Together, he urged, extending a hand. Itachi, witnessing the shift, stepped back, allowing the brothers to reconnect. The darkness that had threatened to consume Sasuke began to dissipate, revealing the vulnerability that lay beneath. Sasuke, chest heaving with emotion, finally took a step back, the fire in his eyes dimming. I'm tired of feeling like this, he confessed, his voice trembling. I just want to be seen to be no. You know, Naruto understanding would hug his brother. We both understand we've walked your path before. Don't let it take a hold of you. You're better than this. Itachi wryly smiled, but it was like moments like this he would flash a calm, brotherly smile at the interaction between his brothers. In the shadowy depths of the Hidden Leaf Village, a chilling silence enveloped the air as Naruto and Itachi stepped into a clearing they never imagined they would find. The scene before them sent shivers down their spines. Their beloved sensei, Shisui Uchiha, staggered forward, blood streaming from one eye, painting a grim portrait of pain and sacrifice. Shisui, Itachi breathed, his heart pounding as dread pooled in his stomach. The once vibrant spirit of their mentor now appeared frail and haunted, the weight of his impending fate heavy in the air. Shisui's voice, though strained, carried an urgency that cut through the stillness. So you've seen? Danzo took my eye to prevent him from getting my other eye. He's desperate, willing to do anything to seize power. Each word was laced with anguish, a testament to the horrors he had faced. Naruto's fists clenched at his sides, his own anger boiling beneath the surface. We can't let him get away with this. We need to fight back. But Shisui shook his head slowly, his remaining eye filled with a mixture of sadness and determination. Itachi, Naruto, I entrust you with this. If the clan goes through with the coup, we will all be doomed. You must be the ones to change this fate. His gaze bore into them, a silent plea for understanding. In that moment, the weight of their responsibility settled heavily upon their shoulders. Itachi felt a cold shiver run down his spine as he realized the depth of Shisui's sacrifice. His life, his eye, and ultimately, the fate of their clan hung in the balance. Shisui, please. Itachi's voice trembled, the fear of loss clawing at him. There has to be another way. But Shisui's expression hardened with resolve. The village is at a tipping point. We must stop Danzo and his machinations before he brings ruin upon us all. This burden cannot fall on my shoulders alone any longer. Naruto stepped forward, his heart racing with an overwhelming sense of dread. We'll do whatever it takes. We can't let you sacrifice everything for us. We'll find another way. But Shirsue's smile was bittersweet, a glimmer of hope against the encroaching darkness. You're both strong. Believe in yourselves. If we allow hatred to drive our actions, we will become just like him. I need you to promise me. Promise me you'll find a better path. With those words hanging heavily in the air, Shirsue's strength began to fade, his body trembling as he took another step forward. Itachi and Naruto could only watch in helpless horror as the light in his remaining eye dimmed. Realizing that time was slipping away, Shirsue would give Itachi his remaining eye and fall off the cliff down to the water below. As the wind whispered through the trees, the weight of their mentor's sacrifice pressed down on them like a suffocating shroud. They stood on the precipice of a choice that could reshape the destiny of their clan and their village. In that moment, with the echo of Shirsue's fading words still ringing in their ears, Itachi and Naruto vowed to honor his sacrifice, to forge a new path, even as darkness threatened to consume them all. The sun set over Konoha, casting long shadows across the village. Naruto walked through the streets, the scornful eyes of villagers piercing him like daggers. Memories of his spiraling life surged within him. He and his brother, Itachi, were double agents, trapped in a web of deception that tore at their souls. Each mission was a dagger in their hearts, forcing them to betray their own clan while feigning loyalty to the Leaf. As he passed familiar landmarks, the echoes of his father's words haunted him. Go to the Naka Shrine, Fugaku Uchiha had instructed. It was a place steeped in the clan's history, where secrets and legacies intertwined. Naruto recoiled, grappling with the weight of betrayal that had been thrust upon him and Itachi. In a flash, the memory unfolded. Naruto and Itachi, clad in their ANBU attire, emerged from the shadows, silent as the night. They approached their father, who stood at the shrine, the flickering torchlight revealing a figure burdened by expectations and shadows. Why did you call us here? Naruto's voice trembled slightly, laced with anxiety and anticipation. Fugaku turned, revealing his Sharingan, a three-bladed shuriken swirling with ominous intent. Itachi and Naruto stared, shock coursing through them. They had never seen their father wield his power so openly, nor had they expected this display of authority. It's time to make a choice, Fugaku intoned, his voice grave. The Uchiha are on the brink of war, and the village will not stand by us. We must decide our allegiance. Tension hung thick in the air as Naruto's mind raced. The weight of their lineage pressed down on him. Did they truly want to become pawns in this dark game of power? Itachi's eyes narrowed, the resolve within them flickering like a dying flame. We can't betray the Leaf, father. Not after everything they've done for us, Itachi replied, a hint of desperation in his voice. Fugaku's gaze hardened. Loyalty is a luxury we cannot afford. The village sees us as a threat. We must take control before they turn on us. As the wind whispered through the trees, Naruto felt the pull of destiny. In that moment, he realized that the bonds of blood could lead to destruction. The dark path ahead threatened to consume them, and the burden of their decisions weighed heavily on his heart. Caught in a storm of conflicting loyalties, Naruto and Itachi exchanged a glance, each understanding the peril that lay ahead. Their futures hung in the balance, shaped by the choices of their father and the echoes of their clan's past. The village, once a place of refuge, now loomed as a specter of despair. In that charged moment at Naka Shrine, under the gaze of their father's power, they made a vow to find a way to protect both their clan and the village, even if it meant walking a path shrouded in darkness. The true battle was just beginning, and the shadows would reveal truths that could shatter their world. Shadows of betrayal, the weight of legacy. Night enveloped Konoha, the moonlight filtering through Naruto's window, casting eerie shadows across his room. He lay in bed, trapped in a restless cycle of thoughts. His mind spiraled, haunted by memories of his family and the suffocating expectations of the Uchiha clan. Despite the late hour, sleep eluded him, and he couldn't escape the sense of impending doom that loomed over them all. His younger brother, Sasuke, was determined to forge a name for himself in the academy, tirelessly training to impress their father. Naruto could see the fire in Sasuke's eyes, the desperation to earn Fugaku's affection that he himself had long abandoned. But deep down, Naruto knew the harsh truth. No matter how hard Sasuke tried, Fugaku would remain indifferent, his heart encased in the cold steel of ambition. The efforts of both brothers felt futile against the unyielding expectations of their father. Naruto's thoughts turned dark as he recalled the recent tragedy that had struck their clan. Shisui, their beloved friend and mentor, had died under circumstances shrouded in mystery. The loss had shaken the very foundation of their world. For Itachi, it was a crushing blow, the final straw in a series of betrayals and sacrifices. The weight of Shisui's death bore heavily on his shoulders, pushing him further into the abyss of despair. Itachi had awakened his Mangekyo Sharingan in that moment of grief, and Naruto had felt a chill run down his spine. The power it bestowed was immense, but it came at a terrible cost, a toll on the soul that no one should have to pay. Itachi's once bright spirit dimmed, replaced by a relentless pursuit of a path that seemed to spiral deeper into darkness. Sasuke, oblivious to the true nature of their family's turmoil, continued to chase after shadows of approval, training harder and harder. Naruto watched his brother's futile attempts with a heavy heart, each breakthrough only a reminder of their father's unyielding expectations. He feared that Sasuke would suffer the same fate as Itachi, consumed by a desperate need for validation that Fugaku would never provide. The thought gnawed at Naruto, a relentless ache in his chest. He couldn't shake the feeling that this would lead to the downfall of the Uchiha clan, a family bound by blood, yet torn apart by ambition and betrayal. It was a cycle he was powerless to break, watching as his brother and Itachi descended further into their own darkness. Late into the night, he tossed and turned, visions of their clan's future swirling in his mind. He saw Sasuke, eyes filled with anger and ambition, standing alone in the center of a battlefield, the weight of their legacy pressing down upon him. He envisioned Itachi, cold and distant, the once bright spark of his spirit now dimmed under the burden of responsibility and sacrifice. And at the heart of it all stood Fugaku, a figure cloaked in shadows, his indifference suffocating everything around him. Naruto felt the isolation of their plight, the loneliness that came with bearing witness to the unraveling of his family. He was haunted by the echoes of Shisui's laughter, the warmth of their shared moments, now replaced by a chilling silence. The darkness felt inescapable, a constant reminder that the bonds of family could lead not only to strength, but also to ruin. The weight of the Uchiha legacy pressed heavily on Naruto, and he knew that change was necessary. But how could he confront a lineage steeped in darkness? How could he reach out to Sasuke, who was so focused on proving himself, and Itachi, who had retreated into the depths of despair? In the oppressive silence of the night, a plan began to form, a desperate hope to rescue his family from the clutches of fate. It wouldn't be easy, but Naruto resolved to fight against the tide of destiny, determined to shield Sasuke from the darkness that threatened to consume them all. He would become the light in their shadowy world, even if it meant walking a path fraught with danger and despair. As dawn approached, Naruto finally drifted into a restless sleep, a flicker of resolve igniting within him. He would confront the darkness and protect his family, whatever the cost. But deep down, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning, and the true battle for their souls loomed on the horizon.